5 liters blood, 7-year hitchhiker slavery. A sequence so horrific, the ratings board nearly canceled the film. This is what Tarantino didn't want in Pulp Fiction. After every major studio rejected him, he shot something so weird that it's only discussed in whispers today. Cut and erased, the scene was absent, because nobody was meant to know it existed. In a little Manhattan Beach video store, 2 young movie aficionados, Quentin Tarantino and Roger Avery, had wild ideas for films they wanted to make. One idea grew greater than they expected. Avery's script, Pandemonium Reigns, told a weird, fascinating tale of a gold watch, a pawn shop, and a leather-masked man. That strange, powerful part became a Pulp Fiction staple. Tarantino and Avery's cooperation wasn't Hollywood typical. After Reservoir Dogs gained notoriety, they reunited in Amsterdam and began creating scenes, sometimes by taping scripts together. However, Avery left to direct Killing Zoe. Tarantino rewrote and polished the script for nearly 2 years. He provided most of the smart speech, although Avery's ideas were still important. They won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay when the picture came out. Avery just thanked his wife and stated he needed to pee, which was unusual. Their artistic relationship peaked that night. Interestingly, they never worked together again. Pulp Fiction has a much earlier history. The word began in the 1890s before Tarantino adopted it. Back then, cheap publications were printed on crude wood pulp paper to sell for pennies. Pulps exploded in popularity. They had action, crime, mystery, and science fiction. It was impossible to stop reading them. Before long, Argosy sold over 500,000 copies a month. Some of these stories introduced Detective Nick Carter, who appeared in thousands of stories. Pulps influenced American storytelling. They had big personalities, raw action, and a quick pace. Tarantino wanted his film to be rough, frightening, and stylish, not simply catchy, his title. It honored that wild, unruly universe. Still, making Pulp Fiction was hard. Producer Lawrence Bender and Tarantino signed with Jersey Films in 1993. It included office space and enough money to show studios the script. Initial signs were good. Columbia TriStar identified it as a development project, but things quickly deteriorated. By July, the studio dropped the project. The executive dubbed it the worst script they'd read. Characters dying and returning bothered them. They missed the joke. It was excessively violent, too strange and incomprehensible. A few believed the heroine scenes would spoil it. Others thought a major star was necessary. Miramax gained from that refusal. Harvey Weinstein reviewed the script after Disney owned the studio and loved it. He didn't mind the odd structure or wild scenes. He noticed something wonderful. Miramax granted Tarantino unlimited authority, funded the $8.5 million budget. They were $500,000 under budget. It worked thanks to one smart action. They waived big-name actor fees and paid everyone the same weekly amount. In the early 1990s, John Travolta's career was tanking. The Greek has-been was most known for baby-chatting with Kirstie Alley. Hollywood suits panicked when Quentin Tarantino revealed he wanted him as Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction. Harvey Weinstein, fresh from his Miramax Disney contract, worked hard to derail it. Wanted Daniel Day-Lewis. Sean Penn was offered, but Tarantino refused. After a heated argument, Travolta lowered his income from millions to $140,000. But the risk? It altered everything. After one Oscar nomination, Travolta was back on top, and Weinstein had to apologize. While that happened, Samuel L. Jackson fought his own war. He thought he had the job of Jules until he heard Paul Calderon almost took it. Jackson barged into the audition. With greasy Big Kahuna burger bag, furious. One studio executive miscalled him Lawrence Fishburne. It didn't help. Jackson snapped. unleashed Jules Winfield's full wrath in the room and froze everyone. Its performance? It wasn't acting. It existed. The Jerry curl wig? Total wreck. Someone bought the wrong one, but Jackson loved it. He claimed it felt NWA. Tarantino concurred. Next, Matt Dillon. Tarantino wrote Butch Coolidge for him. It was his loss, and he did. He paused, said he'd sleep on it, and considered playing Vincent instead. That one pause cost him a career-defining role since Bruce Willis replaced him the next day. He wanted Vincent too. He took it when Butch was open. No questions, no ego, just gut. This worked, especially in the eerie pawn store scene. Dillon watched the film explode from the sidelines while Willis capitalized on his most famous role. Uma Thurman followed. She wasn't shortlisted initially. Before her, Michelle Pfeiffer, Meg Ryan, and Madonna were considered. She found the script revolting, but her agent noticed the gold and urged her to see Tarantino. She reconsidered after a long meal and deep chat in her New York apartment. All done. Become Mia Wallace. Picture of her with cigarette on bed? Iconic. It propelled her to Hollywood's elite. At first, nothing was intended to happen. Vincent was written by Tarantino for Michael Madsen. It was meant to involve Reservoir Dogs, but Madsen chose a Western. Jules was meant for Lawrence Fishburne, but he thought the script glamorized heroin. There were also plans to make Vincent and Jules British. Eddie Murphy, Charles S. Dutton, Tim Roth, and Gary Oldman were also floated. But when Jackson entered, their names vanished. At Cannes, on a late May night in 1994, something unexpected happened. A midnight screening, normally for eccentric entrants or cult aspirants, became a full-blown event. The pulpy film didn't sneak into the festival. Doors were kicked down. Harvey and Bob Weinstein flew the cast to France like a blockbuster premiere, not an indie film. Travolta, Jackson, Thurman, and Willis were filmed everywhere. Electric hype, though the film's out-of-order scenes, sharp speech, and horrific moments confused viewers, they couldn't turn away. The jury split. 4 wanted to award the top prize elsewhere. 4 supported Tarantino. Jury President Clint Eastwood broke the tie. Pulp Fiction took the palm. That made Quentin Tarantino famous worldwide. That was just the start. Back in the U.S., the Weinsteins kept going. Their PR effort resembled an invasion. Unlike most indie producers, they didn't let the film speak for itself. They hosted a lavish Eden Rock luncheon. They plastered Uma Thurman on posters. They hosted yacht parties and sought favors from powerful critics. They even convinced TriStar, which dumped the film due to drug sequences, to relinquish the rights. The Weinsteins risked $8 million on a genreless, violent, dialogue-heavy film. They all agreed. The wildest part followed. Pulp Fiction opened in over 1,300 American theaters. For an indie picture, that was unprecedented. Studio thought they were nuts, but by delaying the film after Cannes and showing it at a few important festivals, they created a curiosity wave. People flocked to view it as it opened wide. It grossed $9.3 million in its first weekend, barely beating Stallone's The Specialist. Stallone's film bombed, but Pulp Fiction survived. People spoke about it, quoted it, and watched it again week after week. It dropped hardly in its second weekend, especially compared to action blockbusters. By year's end, it was clear who won the real war. Pulp Fiction went beyond profit. The rules were rewritten. Over $213 million was raised on an $8 million budget. Hollywood was shocked by that reappearance. It showed that R-rated movies, packed with long chats and odd personalities, might dethrone blockbusters. Disney, which had bought Miramax, realized their quirky small studio might be powerful. The Oscars noticed. Best Picture among 7 nominations. Lost that one. Gump did. However, that loss remains controversial. The Pulp Fiction suitcase has been a famed mystery for decades. Gold, glowing, and every time someone opens it, they seem like they've seen something heavenly. But what was inside the case? The most prevalent fan theory is that it held Marcellus Wallace's soul. They point to the lock's scary 666 combination. With his odd neck bandage, some claim the devil took his soul via the back of the head, like an old fable. It seems odd, but rewatching the sequence where Vincent stares at the case like he's entranced makes sense. Jules's survival of a firefight and claim of divine intervention support the impression that the case is about more than money. Not everyone accepts the single theory. Some more realistic enthusiasts think the briefcase contained Reservoir Dogs' jewels. When many realized both films were related in the mid-1990s, this theory caught off. After all, Reservoir Dogs' Vincent and Vic Vega are brothers. Tarantino considered a film about them. The Pulp Fiction co-writer's admission that the case initially involved diamonds strengthened this view. Although they dropped the idea during filming, fans kept it, especially after Tarantino acknowledged most of his films share a universe. That made diamond theory more plausible. The Big Picture included it. Strangest theory of all. Some say Elvis Presley's golden lame outfit was in the bag, the one from his renowned record cover. It seems crazy, but the notion went viral years after the movie.